We are always talking about the topic of suffering because it's something very common. And in fact, this topic of suffering is covered by a lot of religions in the world. In fact, most of the religions in the world will talk about suffering. But different religions will have different explanations, different solutions, or even different perspective to look at suffering. For example, some will look at it as something natural. When you're born, you will suffer, you will grow old, you will fall sick, and you will die. This is one aspect of it. Some religions appeal to this understanding. But some other religions may see that suffering is because of some bad things or bad things you've done in the past life. Then it resulted in your suffering in this life. Some religions have this kind of thinking. Christianity, however, our faith in the Word of God has a different perspective to it. Something similar, but ultimately is something very different. The Holy Spirit, through the person James, the writer James himself, is helping us to see suffering in this manner. So let me sum up the book of James, because since we are in the last chapter, let us sum up the book of James in this manner. Okay, beginning of James chapter 1, we talk about trials and the need for perseverance. At the end of James, in this chapter that we're going to talk about, we talk about suffering and perseverance. Can you see that? The beginning about trials of all kinds, about difficulties that you face. At the end, about difficulties that you face and how you ought to persevere. So, but what is the key thing about suffering? So having the suffering as a backdrop, as a background, what's the key thing about it? Well, James is telling us suffering reveals the condition of our heart. Suffering reveals the condition of our heart. And the readers themselves, the hearers of James, have a very, very unique condition, which is not very unique like all of us here, an idolatrous heart. Idolatrous heart. A heart that is causing them to be double-minded. They want the world and they want God at the same time. They want riches and they want Jesus at the same time. They are double-minded. That's why James chapter 4 verse 8 says, purify your heart, you double-minded. It's not with your thinking, it's with your heart. It says, purify your heart, you double-minded. So it is asking true believers, if you are genuine believers, do something about your heart. Purify your heart. But having said that, James is aware that among his hearers, there are people who are not genuine believers. That's why James chapter 5 verse 5 says, you are fattening your heart. Something you are doing with your heart. You're fattening it for the day of slaughter. Remember that? Yes, that was preached last week. And so he's referring to some people, their hearts will never genuine. Their faith will never genuine. So in the course of suffering, it reveals the heart. Idolatrous heart. And if it's genuine believers having idolatrous heart, you must purify your heart. That's what James is saying. And if you are not, and you persistently pursuing it only shows that you are not genuine believers in the first place. Can you see? So, suffering is not a problem. Suffering reveals the problem in our heart. So, what should the genuine believers do? James says, don't show partiality. Your actions of love is important. How you treat widows, how you treat the orphans, how you treat those who are poor. The use of your tongues, your speeches are very important. And lastly, the way you respond to suffering is very important. So this is what James is saying. And that's what we're going to talk about in this last chapter, the way you respond to suffering. Are you ready? And there are two types of suffering James is talking about here. Okay, and as we are speaking, Sister Esther is also translating for our grandmother here in Cantonese, so you must bear in mind, okay? So it's an online translation. Okay, so let's pray together as we talk about two different types of suffering that we're facing. Father, we pray that you will open our eyes to understand truth from your word. And as we open your word up to read it and to understand it, we pray that you will open our hearts to embrace your truth. And may we see the glory of Christ and what Christ is doing in our hearts. Will you use me as I explain the word? Will you speak to me and speak to all of us here? Will the Holy Spirit work among us? Two types of sufferings. First type, verse 7 to 12. I call these the illogical suffering. Illogical in the sense because we are living in a broken world. This is a Christian perspective. When we sin against God, right from the beginning, suffering enters into this world to destroy everything. So suffering will be faced by everybody, anywhere, and in every generation. Why? Because we are simply living in a broken world. In a broken world tainted by sin. And sometimes illogical because it's not something that you have done directly. Nothing that you have done. It's not the deeds of your own, and you face suffering like this. And it could be the deeds of other people, or it could just be simply you are living in this broken world. There will be suffering and difficulties. You will face injustice. You will face bullying, probably in school or at workplace. You will face overwork. You will face stressful situation. You will have sadness. And you will fall ill. And ultimately we all die. This is the broken world we are living in. So, and therefore, chapter 5 verse 7, the passage that we're looking at, it begins with therefore. The word therefore. It seems that the suffering they are facing is caused by the previous passage, which is the rich people oppressing the poor people. Can you remember that? The rich people were oppressing the poor people. And it's not their own doing. These believers were honest workers. All these believers were bullied, not because they were not doing anything, but they could be working hard, but yet they got bullied. You see, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. And moreover, we see it over here, use Job in verse 11 as an example. And Job himself gives us it's from the Old Testament. And Job himself was a righteous person who feared God, as what's written for us in Job chapter 1, chapter 2. Yet he faced suffering that was one kind of suffering that was beyond our imagination. And it's no fault of his. It's natural disaster plus the robbery that struck him. There's nothing of his own, nothing of his own doing. So you see, it's some kind of illogical suffering. So truth number one, we must expect suffering in this broken world. We must expect suffering in this world. It may not be your own doing. It could just be because you are living in the broken world. Just that. So what should we do? What does the word of God through James is telling us? Verse 7, it says, be patient. Be patient. As a farmer waits patiently, verse 7 again. And verse 10, as the prophets in their patience in the face of the suffering. 3 times he says, be patient, like the prophets who face suffering in their initial patience. What does it mean to be patient? A few things that you have put in mind. Don't take justice into your own hands. Don't seek your own justice or the one that's defined by you. Don't take revenge. Don't take revenge. Because God doesn't need our help. And what's the reason? Verse 7 tells us, because the Lord is near. This God that we believe in is more passionate about justice than you. And he will right the wrong when he comes back. And he's able to judge better than you and me. What does it mean to be patient? It also means that we must trust him. We must trust him and we need to follow his timing. Justice will come. Maybe later. Maybe not in your lifetime or in the evil person's lifetime. But it will definitely come during the judgment day. Because the Lord is coming back. And all of us we have to give an account to him. You understand this? So James is saying, be patient. Wait for God's timing. See how God is working. Trust in him than rather trust in your own method of putting things right by the way that you want. It's very dangerous if you do that. So some of us will say, when I face injustice, I just sit there like a shooting duck, is it? I just let the people bully me. I don't do anything. Is that true? Of course not. James is not saying that. James says, believers be patient, but he's not saying we don't do anything. In fact, James is saying we must do the opposite. There are 2 things at least in this passage says that we must do. Number 1, verse 8, it says, establish your heart. Establish your heart. While you're patiently waiting, establish your heart. Remember, there are a few things that we can do to our hearts. We have to purify our hearts, or you fatten your hearts for slaughtering. But now he says you have to establish your heart. And what does the word establish mean? Some version put that to strengthen it, or it really means to fix firmly a foundation or something, to develop some kind of conviction for yourself. Take root. Remember at the beginning, we said that the book of James says, it is giving us this whole big picture that suffering reveals our heart. The suffering as a background, it reveals the condition of our heart, that we are double-minded. Therefore, we need to purify our heart. Or, if you are not a genuine believer, you continue to do it, it shows that you are fattening your heart for the day of judgment. But if you are a genuine believer and you have decided to follow God, then fix it firmly. That's what he's saying here. Fix it firmly. Establish your heart. Develop a conviction. How to do it? The three things that we can do. You read and study God's word fervently. And you pray earnestly. You pray and you plead with the Holy Spirit. It says, whatever I'm reading, please help me to fix it into my heart as conviction. Third, you act upon it repeatedly. You act upon it repeatedly. I'm going to give you 3 examples. If you find that, as you read the book of James, you find that the use of our tongues, our speeches, is a very serious thing. It can be a very serious sin. You read of it together as a congregation, or you pray. You pray that the Holy Spirit will form that conviction in your heart. And whenever there's opportunity in school, at workplace, for you to gossip, what do? You stop. You stop the gossip and say, let's don't talk about this. You repeatedly practice it, or people want to continue, you walk off. What are you doing? You are restraining your tongue. So you repeatedly practice it. Then you will form conviction deeper and deeper. Or for example, second example, it could be the way you spend money. We talk about that in chapter 2, chapter 5. We love money so much. You read it is from the book of James, and you pray. Say, God, help me to understand money from your perspective. Help me not to give in to this idolatry of money. Then what can you do to practice it? You start giving. Start sharing, buying a meal for those who need it. You buy things for people who need who are in need. Or you give it to the gospel ministry. Whatever it is, you start practicing it. Third example, if you read about it in the book of James and you find that you are showing favoritism, maybe to people of different skin color, maybe to people who are of different social status, maybe to people who are like your kind, your type of people, your kind of people that can click with you, and you like them and you dislike those who are not. Then you pray. Maybe you don't like Elder Gregory, for example, Elder Gregory, because he's too handsome. He's too handsome, and you don't like people who are too handsome. So you have favoritism against you, And so you pray, say, God, help me to love Gregory. Help me to talk to him. Then what do? You practice. During lunchtime, talk to him. And when he doesn't come to church, text him and say, hey, Greg, where are you? You do things like this, and you keep practicing it to overcome these prejudices. Then you are slowly firming your conviction in your life. Can you see these 3 things? You read from the Word of God, you pray, and you plead with the Holy Spirit, and then you keep acting upon it, and you build the firming foundation of establishing your heart against a heart of idolatry. Second, you don't just wait there and do nothing. The second thing you do, take a look at verse 10. It says, take a look at those prophets who were suffering. What were they doing? They who spoke in the name of the Lord. They keep serving. They keep serving in the midst of being patient in suffering. They keep serving. These prophets, when they face suffering, they didn't do anything. They do like, I don't do anything anymore. Okay. No, they spoke in the name of the Lord. They keep working for the gospel work, bringing the word of God to the non-believers, bringing the words of God to the believers, and that's why they keep getting all the the suffering that you are facing. We should keep serving and remember the Lord has a tender heart for you. That's what 11 tells us, that at the end of it, you will realize that God is compassionate and merciful to you. He will look after you, He will repay you, He will deal kindly with you. Because He is full of compassion and merciful to His servant. So keep working and do not stop and do not fall into self-pity. I'm facing persecution, I'm facing difficulty, I'm just going to stop. No, keep serving. But some of us, among us, may just object to this and says, well, it's easy for you to say, well, because you're not facing the same suffering as me. So Gregory will be like, you are not facing the same suffering as me. I'm born so handsome. So you are not. So he may say, we are facing a different thing. So, but James knew this, and James knew that his hearer actually objected to it. So James is using chapter 10, verse 10, that us look at the prophets in the past. Look at them, and he used prophets. He expected them to know the Old Testament and to read about all the different prophets, beginning from Abraham all the way to the last prophet in Malachi. They all faced persecution while they are serving God, while they are serving the nation. Some got jailed. Some of the prophets got jailed. Some got murdered. Some were fed into the lions. But they were patient. They kept serving, kept speaking in the name of the Lord. So one thing I put here, truth number 2 is you must understand that suffering is common with the believers before us. And we might not even have faced some of this suffering like the previous believers before us. Like Job, like Isaiah, like Daniel. We may not be thrown into lions then. The worst we have is probably thrown into a place full of lizards, right? Well, we don't survive, but not the lions there. So we have not faced some of these. So we must understand suffering is something that is common among the believers, with the believers who will be before us. So having said that, we are not passively waiting there doing nothing while being patient in suffering. We have to do these two things. We will do these two things to establish our hearts and keep serving God. Establish our heart and keep serving God. But there are two things that we should not do when we are in face of suffering. Verse 9, it says, do not complain against one another. Do not speak against each other. How do we do that in suffering? How does it usually happen in the face of suffering? Well, I'll give you a scenario. When you're facing suffering at home, maybe you get bullied by your siblings, or in school, you get bullied in school, or in a workplace, you are faced with such tremendous pressure. The boss is just relentlessly giving you work to do, and you have no life. After that, then you begin to compare with other people. And you come to church, you sit down and you're like, what kind of week have I just gone through? Then you look across, hey, you see Gregory. He's a chairman today. So you see Gregory, look around and say, hey, how come he has a better mother-in-law than me? How come my mother-in-law is so difficult to live with? Then again, how come he has such a good wife? How come mine is so difficult? You look around, how come his sibling is so nice, it's better than mine? How come they're so caring on this? How come mine are like monsters like those? So you begin to compare. And it's not that he's more handsome than me, what? He always claims to be handsome, but look at me. Better than him, what? How come he's getting a better life than me? So you begin to compare. Or maybe Abigail. You look at Priscilla, who is sitting just in front of her, and says, why is Abigail getting a better life than me? He gets such a handsome brother. And I only got my sister. No, not true, is it? Okay, it's not true. I mean, this is an example. You may sit there and say, I love God, and I've been serving the church. Why do I get bullied in school? Why do I get bullied at work? Why there's no success for me in the work that I do? But look at so and so. No, they are the lousier Christian. Look at them. They sleep during sermon. No, they see, sleeping again. They only come during Christmas and Easter. but they are more successful than me. You begin to compare, and therefore you begin to complain against each other and speak against each other. Why shouldn't we be doing that? Verse tells us because the Lord is at the door. He's near us. It will be very embarrassing, isn't it? If you go into a room and you start complaining about Gregory, you say, the guy, I don't know, he's getting such a good life. But he's not a better Christian than me. Then Gregory opened the door and he's just behind the door. Then it's very embarrassing, right? It will be more embarrassing if the Lord is just behind the door, and which is the case. This is the Lord is standing behind the door, standing at the door. The Lord hears our complaint against one another. Can you see that? Second, what should we not do in the face of suffering? Do not be untruthful in suffering. Verse 12. Well, that quotation in verse 12 is really from Matthew chapter 5 in the Sermon on the Mount. It's really a quotation from Jesus' teaching in Matthew chapter 5. Next time then we'll talk about it. Okay? But this is really talking about people who are speaking without integrity. People who are swearing something, but it's actually a cover-up for truth or opportunity for them to tell a lie. This is the situation here. So how does that happen when you are facing suffering and you tend to tell lie? Well, that's how it happens. Let me give you a scenario. You are facing you are facing some hardship in your life, some very stressful moment in your life. And in this case, sometimes believers will tend to tell lie to get by. So I have a friend who was studying in the university many years ago, and I might have given this example in the previous few years ago. But this friend of mine, he was under tremendous stress in his final year project. He was studying NTU, engineering, and he has 4 or 5 projects in his hand. And even for one of them, they were rushing like crazy. So they were rushing a few. And there was one particular project that he has really, really no time to do. And it was a group project. And this friend of mine, he was rushing for the rest. Finally, one of his group friends called for a meeting. He says, that's what we're going to do for a group project. He said, what is it? He says, we have gotten a group project from our senior, same project from our senior. We're just going to take the whole project, wholesale, change the name, change the date, and put all our names in. Agreeable? And the guy was under pressure. He was a few projects in his hand, and he has really had no time for this. He was like, let's do it. He gave his green light. He's a Christian. He gave his green light, and all of them took that project wholesale, changed the date, put all their names in, changed the names, and they submitted it. And he got a B for that project. He passed it. After that, he really feel regretful about it. And he went to because being a Christian, he went to the supervisor and to the lecturer and says, we cheated. And he admitted to it. I need to give him the credit. But you can see, during the kind of tremendous pressure that he is under this kind of suffering, Christians may tend to give in for, putting his name there, agreeing to it, he tends to give in for untruthfulness, for a lie. Or this kind of swearing, or over here, verse 12, verse 30 says, verse 12 says, let your yes be yes and no be no. Sometimes under a possible persecution, we may come up arguments that sounds like we are very right on certain thing, but it's actually a cover-up of some intent that we have. It is a lie. For example, to make a stand against the sin of LGBTQ is a very difficult thing. To say that it is sin. So some believers, wanting to hide from their fear of persecution or to be branded by their friends, what do? They come out some kind of statement for themselves. It says, well, why should Christians be so judgmental? Well, we should not judge people. So they come out with some kind of Christian term for it, but it's actually the bottom of it is to hide from the fear of being persecuted or fear of being sidelined by their friends or in their job. It is not because they are low IQ, not because their conscience are dead, but because they are scared. Can you see? So they are not honest anymore in the face of possible persecution. Can you see that? So in the face of suffering, sometimes Christians are not honest anymore. That's why James over here says, you don't need to swear by heavens, you don't need to swear by earth. In verse 12, he says, let your yes be yes. Just be honest about it. Let me sum up what we're talking about in this portion, verse 7 to verse 12. Well, sometimes we face some kind of random difficulties. We face some kind of illogical suffering that I call it, which is not a fault of our own, which is just because we are living in a broken world. We should expect it, number one. And we should be patient because the Lord will make things right in His way and in His timing. Secondly, what should we do? We should fix our hearts in convictions from the Word of God, and we should just keep serving the Lord. And the two things that we should not do, we should not complain against each other, and we should not be dishonest about ourselves. Having said that, some suffering that we face are really perplexing. It's beyond our understanding. They are illogical, and there's nothing to do with us directly. But having said that, there are some sufferings that are really because of our own doing. Agree? And I call this important suffering. Important suffering because we face this consequence of our own doing, and it is important because this is how the Lord wants to deal with our sin within us. I call this a big term called sanctification. The Lord is going to deal with us because of our doing. Okay, this passage here, verse 13 to verse 20, is quite a difficult passage, and it comes with a lot of misunderstanding, which we are not going to address them over here. Okay, but definitely we will begin to see that this suffering here is because of our fault. Or in this passage, sometimes it's called sin. Or sometimes it's because of our spiritual foolishness. Our disobedience towards the Word of God. In the last verse, it says, we strayed away from truth. Can you see, this suffering has to do with something with our life, something of our own choice. And in this passage, it says that this suffering has a result of some kind of physical illness or emotional illness, whatever it is. Okay, but to make it clear here, we must understand not all illness, not all sickness are because of sin. Make it clear. The passage above just tells us some of this suffering that we face, illness that we face, is just because we are living in a broken world. It's nothing to do with you. But having said that, there are some illnesses or some sufferings that you are facing is linked to sin, linked to spiritual folly of our own disobedience to the Word of God. Let me show you that there is this lie that is going on here in this passage here. Okay, there's a rebellion, and its effect. There's a required action. Then talk about a restoration action, and there will be a result. There are 4 hours here. I try to put in 4 hours for us to understand it better. Okay, the rebellion effective, verse 13 to verse 35. You see here, there's people who are suffering, or people who fall sick. Maybe really literally fall sick. Then what was a required action? He said, you should pray. If you are suffering, you should pray. Verse 13 says. And verse 14 said, if you are sick, go and call an elder. Go and call elders, which is a required action from you who are falling sick or who are suffering from the effect of your own sin. And what will they do? What's the restoration action? Well, you can pray. Let him pray. Let the elders pray for him. Let the elder pray for him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. We will explain this a little later. And what will be the result? You see, if the person is sick or suffering, he says you will be saved or restored. In ESV, put that you'll be saved. He said you are sick, but you'll be saved. And you'll be raised, and you'll be forgiven. Can you see? You're sick, but you'll be forgiven. It seems that it's used interchangeably for sickness, but you'll be forgiven. But later, Then verse 16 it says, if you sin, you confess to one another. This is what you need to do, confess to one another. And what's the restoration action from the believers? You see, you pray for one another and you'll be healed. Okay, see, instead of saying they're sick, you'll be healed. They say if you are sick, you'll be forgiven. When you are sin, you'll be healed. It's used interchangeably to say that some sin is because of our own doing. And you should ask for prayer so that you'll be healed or you'll be forgiven, you'll be restored. You will give you some examples here. Sometimes you are so stressed over your study, or over your result, or over your work, or over a relationship, maybe VGR relationship or something. And we are so stressed because this suffering, remember, it reveals our hearts. It reveals that we have an idolatrous heart. We are so stressed about our study, work, or VGR. It reveals that our idolatrous heart found our identity or security in our study or results, in our work, or in our relationship, VGR. You see, it reveals our heart. It reveals that we are double-minded. We want God and we want all these results, all these particular relationships. And therefore, it causes us to be so stressed that our body begins to break down. We suffer from insomnia, which is a sickness. We suffer from mental disorder, which is a sickness. We lost weight and lost appetite, which is a sickness. And some of them even got bedridden for a few days or weeks. It is a kind of illnesses or suffering that they face. And what is the cause? The cause is stress. And what's the real cause? The cause is the heart, the idolatrous heart. They want it so much that when they don't get it, it really causes them to track. You see, so some illness, not all, we are saying again, not all, we are not saying everything is like that, but in these passages, some of them is because of our idolatrous heart or our sin. You understand what I'm talking about? That's what this passage is talking about. Okay, and to give an even simpler one, would be like, you sleep around, and what would you get? You may get sexually transmitted disease. It's very direct. Some of these are more direct. Or you have to serve love, the idolatrous heart, love beauty of a certain body shape. So you think that this is the shape that I want. And what do? You starve yourself or all this. You may fall into an illness like bulimic or anorexic. You know, it can be it is an illness because of our sin, direct sin of idolatrous hearts. So some of them are like that, you know. And let's talk about all these in detail. What are the required actions? Well, you need to personally confess. It says, if you fall sick, if you are suffering, you should pray. You should come before God personally and